not nice. Kindness is courage, niceness is fear. How people-pleasing destroys confidence, and what it takes to be free. You are liked. You are appreciated. You are the one who always shows up, says the right thing, helps without being asked. And secretly, you are exhausted. You don't need more approval. You need permission. Permission to stop apologizing for your existence. Permission to say no, to interrupt, to want, to feel rage, to walk away. You don't hate being nice, but you hate that it feels like a performance, and the longer you perform, the less real you become. This book is not a guide to becoming mean. It is a roadmap to becoming real. Dr. Aziz Gazipura spent decades doing what you were taught to do. Please everyone. Avoid conflict. Be a good boy, a good son, a good worker, a good partner. A nice man, until niceness broke him. This book exists because being good nearly destroyed him. And he's here to help you break free from the invisible rules that keep you afraid, apologetic, and exhausted, so you can stop living a scripted life and start speaking like someone who matters, because you do. The dangerous myth of being nice. Niceness sounds harmless, but in reality, it is a form of self-erasure. You smile when you're angry, you agree when you disagree. You listen while silencing yourself. Niceness isn't kindness. Kindness is a gift. Niceness is a strategy. It's a fear-based code of conduct driven by a subconscious belief. If everyone likes me, I'll be safe. But the result is the opposite. You become resentful. You feel fake. You lose trust in your own voice. True kindness requires boundaries. Niceness requires sacrifice. And eventually, you become the thing you feared most. Invisible. Why you think being nice makes you good. Most people equate niceness with virtue. But niceness, Dr. Aziz explains, doesn't come from love. It comes from fear. You weren't born to fear your own voice. You were trained into it. Your childhood taught you that pleasing others made you safe, that defiance meant punishment, that obedience was love. So you molded yourself. You became agreeable, quiet, palatable. You learned that other people's feelings matter more than your own. That anger is dangerous. That saying no is selfish. That your truth should wait its turn or never speak at all. But every time you bend to be accepted, a small part of you breaks. How guilt becomes your prison guard. Guilt is not always conscience. Sometimes it is just fear wearing a moral costume. Nice people feel guilty for things that aren't wrong. Saying no, asking for help, being unavailable, setting boundaries. Why? Because guilt is how your nervous system signals danger. Not moral wrongness, but social threat. And in a niceness-trained brain, discomfort becomes confusion. You feel bad for things that are healthy. You apologize for simply existing. Guilt becomes a leash, and you learn to stay small just to avoid the tug. But here's the truth. If you don't risk guilt, you'll never know freedom. When every yes is a lie, people pleasers are liars, but not because they're manipulative, because they're afraid. You say yes, you volunteer, you offer, you stay silent, but underneath each yes is a quiet no. A no to rest, a no to truth, a no to your own needs. And these fake yeses build resentment. Resentment poisons relationships. You begin to loathe the people you're serving, not because they've wronged you, but because you have abandoned yourself for them. The longer you're nice, the more dishonest your love becomes. Real love includes no. Real connection includes rupture. Real confidence means disappointing people and still liking yourself afterward. The radical power of saying no. Saying no doesn't make you selfish, it makes you sovereign. When you're trained to be nice, saying no feels like violence. But the real violence is what happens when you can't. Without no, you become resentful, overextended, burned out, bitter, and disconnected. Without no, you say yes to jobs you hate, partners you tolerate, conversations that drain you, events that steal your joy. Dr. Aziz doesn't just suggest saying no. He teaches you how to practice it, one sentence at a time. You don't owe an explanation. You don't need a reason. No is a full sentence. No is a declaration of presence. No is your soul remembering that it matters. Not nice isn't rude, it's real. The opposite of nice isn't cruel, it's clear. When you stop being nice, you become real. You say what you want, you tell the truth. You ask, express, decline, and assert, without fearing that honesty will make people hate you. You trade people's approval for your own self-respect. You stop tiptoeing. You stop apologizing. You stop editing your existence. And you realize, if they only like the version of you that hides, they don't love you. They love your silence. Real relationships begin where performance ends. How I'd use this book. If it were mine to apply, after reading this, I'd stop the smile that masks fatigue. I'd pause before saying yes and ask, do I even want this? I'd let the silence hang when I say no and not rush to fill it. I'd stop second-guessing every message, every sentence, every emotion. I'd let someone misunderstand me and survive. I'd take up space in meetings. I'd say, actually, I disagree. And I'd stop waiting for permission to lead. When guilt rises, I'd recognize it as a signal of growth, not proof of wrongdoing. And I'd walk away from anything that asks me to betray myself to be liked. If you're still here, then this is your work. You're not listening to this because you want to be liked. You're here because you're tired of being fake. You're here because you know there's more inside you. Truth, rage, joy, leadership, clarity, desire. You're here because you want to be real again. And this book won't fix you, but it will finally give you permission to stop trying to. Check the link in the description to get your copy of Not Nice by Dr. Aziz Gazipura. This wasn't the full journey, it was the invitation to begin.